Hey everybody, Captain Murphy here. Today we're taking a look at Tides of War version 0.4. I mentioned in a previous video that version 0.3 was going to be the last one of that series. That was technically our pre-alpha, the kind of the last of our prototyping stage. And now we're getting into 0.4, which is our actual first alpha build. This is going to be the first version that encompasses all of our mechanics that we want in the game, without having a bunch of prototype code. A lot of this will be more of the final versions of things. So I'm going to take a look at the very first build of this. This is going to be the title screen, and it's also been my test screen as well. This is where I get to test around with some of the new effects, some of the new images, some of the new camera systems, things like that. In fact, I'm going to be turning this into a kind of a mini game of sorts to allow people to play around and to get used to the game and try to build it into something of a tutorial level, and hopefully make it so that it's a good representation of what the game's going to look like in the game itself. So anyway, here we go, and take a look at it. The first thing you'll notice is that the water is completely different. We're using a different system now, and it looks really nice. So it's got some different effects to it, different foam, stuff like that. We're still trying to tweak all that, get the correct color, the correct reflection, stuff like that. We've got a very simplistic, currently changing system that allows us to adjust how the water looks. So we can slowly change the water over time, and we can make it look, more rough and things like that. So a lot of it's still got to get tweaked. This is just kind of the base code that we're working with to get it, get the basics in place and get the, like I say, this kind of the framework. So we're just kind of getting the little bits in place like that. So, but it does look good. Looks really, really nice, and I think this will be a definite addition to the game over the old system. So the camera controls are also heavily updated. This is more of a cinematic style. Instead of being that very hard snap to the center of the ship, this allows it to kind of float around. You can see I can kind of, the ship's not exactly in the center. So it's kind of got a smooth flow to it, a little bit smoother motion. You can zoom in and out. Like I say, it's all a lot smoother, and we're kind of going for more of a cinematic style. And I think this is more representative of kind of what we're looking for. Now you'll notice that as I zoomed in that the ship is a lot higher detail than the last brig that we had in the game. And again, I mentioned in the last video that one was more of a test to see exactly how low we could go before we had really lost what we were aiming for. Now this ship is about 3 times the poly, and the textures are a lot higher definition. And this set of textures is also the custom paint selection ability, so we can pick what color we want the ship to be and then technically paint the ship using the textures that we want. This will allow us to add in things like decorations and some custom paint schemes and stuff like that in the future. It also allows us to reutilize our damage system that we had written for the last version that puts the normal specular texture, all that, as the damage object directly placed onto the texture itself. So that allows us to show some more detailed damage without having decals and that stuck to the side of the ship and increasing draw calls. So let's see. So we've got a simple level here. I'm going to be pushing this up to itch.io. This is our alpha build 0.4, and it's got a lot of the same features as the old one. So if you wanted to play with the system on the left, this is your options. You can adjust all the options in here. You can play the audio, video, performance, controls, all that. These are all kind of tied in. It's similar to what we had on the last build of 0.3. It's just using the new system, the new bloom thresholds and stuff like that. So, like I say, you can really go crazy with the bloom on this one now. So we've changed out some of the image effects. A lot of the image effect stacks have been updated, and I've made simplified. Really, we took out a lot of the code that was in the old ones and put in much simpler systems. We've kind of got it down to 1 or 2 major image effects. Everything else has been stripped out, so that way it increases our performance and gets us a more unified appearance. So anyway, we've got some new particle effects in place. This test scene allows us to not only, changing the sea state so we can increase it and decrease that, but we can also increase and decrease the time so we can make time move along. We can, make it any different kind of day and night system. You'll see that the reflection probe takes a few seconds to catch up because it's not designed to change quite as rapidly as the time does. But that way allows you to play around with each individual time and play around with that. And then it also allows you to speed up and slow down time and how it renders. So you can actually slow down the time to bring everything to a standstill, or you can, make it really slow motion. And in the slow motion, what I like to do is I use it for a test for the lighting of the particle effects. So right now we're at about half speed. So I'm going to fire the guns. And so you can see that the particle effects are pretty heavily updated. They're a lot more realistic. They're also a little more cinematic on top of that. Because like I say, we're going for the cinematic, realistic type of a thing. We want it to be more of a movie type, not just realism. Because in real life, the guns, the fireball on them is so instantaneous you really can't see it. And of course, we wanted to kind of see that. But you can see that the new smoke system allows the guns and the lights produced by the guns to light up the smoke and to kind of give it that cinematic look we were looking for. And back at full speed, we'll go ahead and fire them off again here. So yeah, anyway, it's just kind of a test level, just to play around with things, to see just some basics, get things kind of in place and see how it goes. Now, like I say, if you're going to download this and play with it, the guns just randomly fire. You don't get to pick which direction they fire or which ones are going off. It just picks a random direction on the ship and fires those guns. So you don't get to actually utilize them just yet. We're still working on the particle effects for the water. That'll eventually come along. But anyway, like I say, this is just a test system. It's getting some framework pieces in place, buoyancy and lighting, the sail translucencies, all these effects that we wanted to get into the main game initially, so that way we weren't worried about this later on. We were really worried about the actual gameplay itself rather than these minor image effects and things like that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and remember to go to tidesofwargame.com for more information. Thanks.